Good morning, everybody. Good morning, and welcome to TCA. My name's Christian.
And I'm Andy. And good morning is right. It's still dark here.
Yeah, it is. So we're coming to you live in Southern California, and we have a special guest on TCA today, and really just a special couple days. So before we get started, let's introduce our guest.
There you go.
Yeah.
So today we've got with us Mr. Mark Nappi.
Hey, Mark.
How you doing?
From Quality First Woodworks, around the corner from our showroom here, not too far away, and we're excited to get some insight from Mark on what's going on in Southern California.
That's right. So yeah, Mark, welcome to the show. Hey, so everyone, we're live as we normally are. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube. You can check us out there. It looks like our viewership's already up on Facebook, so that's great. Hey, if you guys have questions about what we're talking about, questions for Mark or what we got in store for the next couple days, drop them in the feed and we'll answer them live on the video. All right, and so before we go into Quality First and your story, Mark, I just wanted to let everyone know what we got in store for the next couple days. Right? Because this is super cool. You know, Andy and I, we just traveled out here to California. And it wasn't just for you, Mark, but
come on,
but mostly for Mark.
Mostly for Mark.
But we got some other cool stuff going. So, okay, so this morning we have TCA, which we're in right now, and then we're going to go over to Quality First, Mark's shop. Later on this morning, around 7:30 local time.
So 10:30 Eastern Standard Time?
Yeah, 10:30 Eastern Time. We'll be streaming from over there. Do a really cool tour. If you guys tuned in for the Cutter tour a few weeks ago, it'll be like that, except California style.
Yeah.
And then later on today, we're going to be headed about an hour from here to go to Crenshaw Lumber, which is a solid wood processing plant that's using some of the latest and greatest WEINIG technology.
Right, and that'll be a little bit later, so look for that around on the East Coast. It'll be somewhere between 4 and 5 p.m. this afternoon.
That's right,
We're going to be there
after lunch here.
just after lunch here, yeah.
Yep, that's right. So keep tuned in on Facebook, YouTube. We'll be streaming there all day today. And then tomorrow, we're going to keep the stream going from our showroom here in Anaheim. So we're going to be having an open house. We'll be having demos and presentations, etc. So the stream's going to be continuing tomorrow and then also on Thursday as well.
And just like always too, so we will be streaming live, but it'll be there later too. So if you miss it live, because I know that a lot of the guys on the East Coast are interested to know what manufacturing looks like in Southern California, because it is a little different.
It's a lot different.
And it's super interesting to me. And so we, if you miss it when we're live, again, it's going to be somewhere around 10:30 Eastern and maybe around 4 p.m. Eastern for the tour at Crenshaw. Go back and watch it. It'll be on our YouTube channel. It'll be on Facebook. We'll try to have it up on LinkedIn later.
That's right. All right. So without further ado, Mark, welcome again to TCA. It's great. Thank you so much for getting up early.
Not early for him.
But you guys started right this time, don't you?
Yeah, nowadays I wake up early. It's a challenge out there. I actually sleep with one eye open, so I'm ready.
So Mark, tell us a little, or tell everyone a little bit about Quality First. I mean, Andy and I know a little bit about it, but for everyone watching, what is Quality First Woodworks?
Well, real quick and short, I started in 1986. We're a cabinet and millwork manufacturer.
Okay.
You know, I started out originally in my parents' garage, and then I'll obviously evolved from there, which you guys will see later, I guess, when you get to the shop. Mm-hmm. But providing cabinet and millwork casework for both commercial and residential. Okay. Was predominantly commercial, you know, medical space, high-rise buildings.
Right, sure.
Stuff of that sort, mm-hmm. You know, break rooms, you know, fast-paced projects.
Okay.
And then basically the market's changed a little bit. Currently now, you know, there's not a lot of people going to their offices, so there's not a lot of commercial TI work going on.
Right,
or not nearly as much as it used to be. So, and we're starting to see a lot of influx of more residential.
I gotcha.
And go ahead.
So tell us a little bit about your shop. How many people you got there, and
right now
what you got going on over there?
Right now, I believe the whole company is probably about 125 to 130 employees mm-hmm. total. We got 25 to 30 installers in the field every day, drivers, you know, delivery guys, engineering, drafting, project management, through production, through the shop as well.
Yeah. So one thing that Mark and I were just talking about right before we went live was, I mean, you did all this homegrown. I mean, you didn't come into this. You started in the garage, and everything that your company's doing, you did yourself at one point in time.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
That's how it started.
I mean, how does it feel kind of seeing seeing that grow out of just you into, I mean,
130 people.
I mean, that's a
lot of growth.
That's a lot of growth right there. Yeah.
Yeah, well, sometimes it's like, again, right now it's a little bit challenging, you know. I mean, I enjoy all the people and everything is my favorite part. The teams in the shop, office, and getting everybody going and motivated. That's my favorite part of it. A lot of the stuff I don't like is the ups and downs and legal sides and contracts and all that kind of part of it.
Right.
It's all part of the game.
It is, right? I mean, you kind of have to take that with it, and I think that it's interesting to think, because I've heard this from a lot of people in the industry, is that kind of morale out in the shop, that team, the manufacturing out in the shop, that's such a, I mean, that just gives us a sense of satisfaction, right? When you have a team and you're making things that you can tangibly feel and deliver to, you know, to the job.
Well, and mentioning, you know, that a lot of it's about the people. I think that our industry, and maybe I'm just biased because I know most about this industry, but this is a very, I've grown to really love this industry over the years because of the people. You know, there's a lot of good people in our industry. And that is what it's all about. You know, no matter where you go, I tell this to people all the time because I do a fair amount of traveling in this job, and they ask what it's like to go to different places. And really, pretty much no matter where you go in the world or in the United States, you know, everybody has stereotypes about what it's like to be in certain regions. But we're in this industry, we're all pretty much the same person. We may talk a little differently. You know,
At least these guys do.
You know, in California they have an accent. North Carolina we don't really have an accent, but that's really the biggest difference is the way we talk. You know? Everything else, it's all the same person.
Yeah.
I mean, we all get that satisfaction out of creating stuff, you know, and here in California, it starts with some sheets and it ends up being cabinetry, you know, and in other places, maybe it starts with boards and it ends up being millwork. I mean, but it's all that, you know, making material into a finished product.
We do have some comments. We like to prove that we're live. Brett Reed is saying hi to you, and thanks for participating.
Yeah, no problem.
So anyway, Mark, a little bit more about Quality First. Like right now, you guys are both commercial and residential, right? Now, have you always been residential as well? Because I was thinking that you guys kind of started off on the commercial side.
When I very first started, I was 100% residential.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Yeah, I worked at a residential cabinet shop right out of high school, going to a junior college, and then within 1 year's time, I thought I learned enough to start my own business. And,
were you right?
I'm still here and I'm still doing it. Almost 35 years, I think it is now.
Okay,
so,
yeah, sure.
So the residential. So I've always kind of mixed and matched. Originally, it was all residential, and then I had some friends try to get me into commercial, and it was a little challenging. Okay. In regards to getting paid, you know, you don't get paid. You get to do the work and then wait and wait and wait. Right. So then I kind of blended it all the time. Then now we're way past that, you know. With many years in the commercial market, you understand the process and the flow, and you know, if you're 3 or 4 months in, then you're always getting paid on something.
So for those shops out there, let's say 5-10 man shops that's solely residential right now, and they're thinking to themselves, maybe I should take on some commercial work, what would your advice be to them?
Well, not right now.
Not right now. Wait.
Multifamily residential and custom residential is blowing up, at least here in California.
Right. Sure.
I don't know everywhere else, but the residential market's a little bit better right now.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So I thought it was interesting that you mentioned before. You know, we do kind of look at when we're pulling data about the industry. It's almost just like looking at lots of ones and zeros, right? So you're kind of just in the data part of it, and you don't really think about. I guess it makes perfect sense that the commercial would be down. We were reporting that the commercial was coming up in recent months. We talked about that a couple of weeks ago, but the commercial, especially the retrofits or the refurbishments that are happening in commercial space with people staying at home, nobody's going back to the office. Of course, that would be down, right?
I mean, Have you had specific jobs just kind of tail off because of things shutting down here in California?
Well, with the the pandemic and what have you, we have jobs that started, stopped, or they're on schedule, supposed to be on schedule, but then all the other trades can't get in and out because you either have people sick. So the schedules are very challenging. They're starting, they're stopping, hold. This job's on hold, and we already have all the product cut.
Okay.
It really messes up the production line.
I see. So, what other challenges, Mark, have you faced here, let's say, in the last 8 months? Because 12 months ago, we would not think that we would be here doing this, right? And in this environment, how have you guys adapted, and what challenges have you faced?
Well, the biggest challenge is employees being off and having to get paid. Due to the pandemic, if somebody gets a stomach ache or they go get a test, I have to let them get the test, pay for the test. They gotta have them stay home. I have to pay them while they stay home, and meaning they're not getting any work done, right? So the biggest challenge has been pretty much financial, trying to cover everybody's times off and tracking it all, and just trying to stay in front of it.
Yeah. Huh. So with that challenge with employees, so I'm kind of curious because on a production floor, you mentioned you already have the challenge of jobs starting and stopping. Yeah. And now you throw into that like, say, a machine operator could now be gone for 2 weeks. And then back and then not. So I mean, how are you guys dealing with all that starting and stopping? Have you influxed any kind of like cut good inventory, or is it still power through?
Well, we're happen to be fortunate because we do have 3 Holzer routers, edge banders, and equipment. So and I cross train some people, so sometimes they can move up and down the line, right? Not only can they run an edge bander well, they can run the CNC routers. Right. Maybe they're not perfect at both, but they can at least fill in and keep the production.
They can keep it
in
going,
line,
right?
keep the flow going. You know.
Sure.
So that's kind of been fortunate for us.
We do have some questions coming in. Do you have them there?
So we got some questions for you, Mark. And just if you're watching, hey everybody, if you have questions for Mark, just put them into the comments feed, and we'll get to them. All right. So first question, Mark. How many cabinets are you producing each day or week?
We try to push out 100 cabinets a day. Okay. In our production line. It's a little bit challenging at times because they're all different, all custom. Every job is a little bit different. If we were doing schools and such like that, where we're cutting out 100 sinks and 100 is the same exact cabinet, I would assume if we had everything prepped and ready, we could do 200 cabinets a day.
Okay, gotcha. So, so next, Mark, what would you say is your biggest success in 2020?
I'm still here.
I'm still here. Like, plant that flag in the ground. Like, I'm still here.
Still getting paid, and the flow's moving forward. I'm kind of a guy that's not very comfortable. I've never gone backwards. This is the first year ever in my entire business life that it's gone backwards in volume, and
really? From your start, this is the first year?
Very first time. Through the last recessions, I didn't partake in the recession. People said, what do you mean? I go, I'm not partaking in it. They're like, well, I'm not going to think about what I'm not going to get. I'm going to streamline my process so that I can get the jobs for less money and push right through, right? And I did. I grew the company from a $5 million a year operation to $10 million a year through the recession because I wasn't partaking in it. Some people were saying, crying about what they're not going to get. And I'm like, you know what? While you're crying about it, I'm going to be getting it. And that's what I ended up doing, and that's what helped me to have more people when it came back. Right. More equipment, more trucks, more everything. So when the market did come back, I was already on the front line. I was already ready.
Yeah, absolutely. Very good. So one question that I had, Mark, was looking at, no one has a crystal ball, and we've talked about crystal balls on TCA a lot, but nobody has a crystal ball. But obviously, whatever we're doing right now is shaping what the next month, 6 months, or year is going to look like. How are you guys kind of, are you prepping for what's to come in 2021? Are you still kind of like, well, let's stay as flexible as possible and just see what happens? And what's your outlook?
Well, right now, we have the ability to do both commercial and residential, and we're pretty good at both of them. Right now, I'm somewhat focusing on the residential side, building a bigger team for that. We're selling a lot more residential, high-end, custom type work right now than normal. So I've got more designers coming in, helping to design the jobs and all that kind of stuff. So. But still, we're balanced. You know, obviously, I want to keep the commercial going. A lot of medical stuff. If that starts coming back, that's streamlined for us. There's no thinking about it. But residential, there's a lot of legwork, a lot of communication with customers.
So, and it's a different skill set in the front office too, right? With residential, because you're dealing with more of a consumer type of a person instead of, you know, either a firm or...
Well, everything's different, right? I would imagine that from the design phase to the people who are interacting with your customers to everything's a little different going from residential to commercial, right?
Yeah, it's not only the materials and what have you, but we're usually starting from scratch. They want us to come in and create it and design it, right? Where in the commercial market, we're working off a set of architectural drawings.
Right, yeah,
so we're trying to pretty much emulate what their, you know, initial concept was.
Yes.
So we redo shop drawings, obviously, for our manufacturing process and for their approvals to make sure we're understanding what they're trying to get at.
That you're on the same page, right?
We're on the same page. So all that's done outside. This way, we're back and forth with homeowners or developers and stuff.
Oh, and there's so much back and forth.
Oh, yeah, no idea.
So much back and forth.
Well, I mean, when you're going to live there, you have different expectations.
It's could be a definite challenge.
All right, a couple more questions from the feed, Mark. So, have cost of materials skyrocketed in California like they have on the East Coast, and has this impacted your business?
Yes, price of materials and everything have gone up. Availability of getting the materials has been a challenge as well, right? Manufacturing's down in a lot of areas for products.
Right. Okay.
So,
right. Sure.
So you're trying to schedule jobs, and you know we don't want to start it in our production line until everything's there. You know, and it could be 1 sheet, 2 sheets, 10 sheets missing. It puts a big strain on the production. Yeah. You know, you can't have a car halfway down the line with no motor, right? It's in the way.
Right. So you say it's in the way, so that makes sense because you don't want to start it because if you start it now you have to store it, right? You have to store part of it.
Absolutely.
Because you have to deliver it all together.
And it's on your carts or on your pallet. You know, it's on the. It's in the way.
It's in the way.
It's in the way.
And we'll see. I think we'll see a little more of that later because Mark has a beautiful facility, but you'll see how doing business in California might be a little different than in the East Coast. The shops are a little more. You have to be a little more efficient. You have to pay attention to those things like that because inventory of additional product just isn't something he can do. At some point, he's just got to put it out in the parking lot.
Well, I don't know what it is back east, but the price for space here in California is not cheap.
Yeah.
So you want to get everything done that you can in the smallest space possible. You know, we don't have an abundance of extra area here for shops.
Well, I think it's probably not necessarily, and it's different everywhere, but it's not that it's less expensive. Probably it is some less expensive on the East Coast, but there are a lot of old manufacturing buildings that new companies have moved into, and so they have a lot of extra space sometimes. When you had a building that might have been a 400,000 square foot building, you know, and you're doing 100 cabinets a day, you've got some extra space to inventory if you need to. Right?
Correct.
Yeah, it's definitely different here.
It's different here. Everything's new, and they've been crowded for a long time.
Right. Yeah. You know, a lot like areas up in New England. You know, up in New York, Connecticut, Massachusetts. You know, where space is at a premium. It's like that here as well. And you know, coming from the Southeast, where you know a lot of times we have plenty of space, and you know we don't always think about that, and that's why it's really a treat to come out here, and I can't wait to get over to your shop to just show people how that space utilization comes in. Now let me ask you this: I mean, so knowing that you started in the garage, how has that kind of space utilization always been kind of central in growing the business, and how can you best utilize? Because one thing, I've heard so many stories about people who start in the garage where, I mean, they got machines on casters moving stuff around, right? So, I mean, that's always kind of a focus, right?
Just clean and streamline is my biggest goal, right? If you're in a small space, you need to clean and organize. Same thing in the shop. It's not a real small space, but clean and organized. Nothing laying around. Everything's efficient and there for a reason.
Right.
Yeah.
So give us a bit of a preview, maybe, of what we will see when we're over there in a couple hours or an hour or so.
Yep. Yeah, so, yeah.
I don't know if you guys are going to the office or whatever, but...
Well, we're going to go wherever you tell us to go.
Go get me some breakfast, and I'll see you there. We obviously have design, drafting, engineering, CNC programming, and office. We have all of the staff with payroll, accounting, and all that kind of stuff, which is kind of the boring part. But from the shop side of it, we're going to show you, we have a fixture department where we build custom, reception desks, nurses stations, wall panelings and stuff like that. We have a countertop department that does plastic laminate countertops, solid surface countertops and such. Every job, most of these projects, you obviously have countertops, you have cabinets, and some of them have reception desks or nurses stations, or if you're doing a hotel lobby or apartment lobby, you got wall paneling and stuff like that. Our shop flows from one side to the other. Everything is received on one end of the building and everything goes out the other end of the building.
Yep. By
design. That's how I created it. CNC routers, banders, drill and dowel, cleaning, sub-assembly, assembly, down to the floor, final clean, wrap, and ship.
So, Mark, we got just one or two more questions. So, first off, what type of cabinet construction do you guys use at the shop?
Most of it is the 32 millimeter European construction, right? In the residential side of it, we have some face frame, or what we call is like a hybrid. We mix some Eurobox casework with some face frame to make them look like they're inset, or build end panels flush with doors to create that kind of an inset look. But all the cabinets are screwed together, Conformat screws, screws and dowels.
Screws and dowels, yeah.
Yep.
What about your doors? You order those, make them in-house?
All commercial casework doors, obviously we make them. They're all flat panel, edge banded for the most part, and then we do outsource doors.
For the residential
For the residential, as needed, of course.
Right. Yeah. Now you run, we'll see some Holzer machines running.
Yeah.
So you run Holzer edge banders. You can talk to us, what kind of banding do you usually use on your commercial?
Usually it's just the standard PVC, real thin edge banding, whatever it is. Sometimes run some 3 millimeter if needed.
Really?
Not a lot. It's we're not tuned for it. If we were doing it every day, the machines will do it. We just don't have them tuned for it.
All right.
I've heard there's a bit of a move away from 3 millimeter to 2 millimeter in a lot of cases anyway, right, in the U.S.
Yeah, like if I have a more custom job, I like to use even like just a 1.5 mil, just a little bit thicker, so when you clean up the edges, it gives it a little bit more rounder.
A little bit more of a radius on there?
A little bit more to have on there.
Okay. Well, I'll speak to some of the comments. There was one comment about how we should show our bistro area that Mark built for us here at Expo West.
Gosh, we didn't even talk about that.
Well, so it is very nice, but Bodo and Lynn, you guys that are saying that we should show it, we don't have a crew, so we can't sit here and carry the camera.
We'll show it tomorrow during the live stream of some demonstrations here at Expo West. We'll show, but yes. So quality first, and Mark were kind enough to actually set up our bistro start to finish. Really designed it out. It's actually back in the corner. There, it's great cabinetry.
Looks great. I was wondering. I was almost thinking maybe the camera would see it, but I think we can only see the edge banders.
But you guys, you guys did the whole thing again, like you were saying, start to finish. You designed it and built it, installed it, came over here, installed it. It's it looks.
Well, and actually, just yesterday, I was looking at Christian when I was opening and closing the doors, and I said, "Man, this stuff is nice."
It is. It's great. It is very Holzer orange. Which you'll be able to see. Like I said,
we'll put idea.
That's right. It was Mark's idea. I think we were going to go for like a gray color because that was nice and neutral. And Mark said, no, we should do Holzer orange because it's bright and it's Holzer. All right, Mark, whatever you want.
It became a little bit of a focal point in our showroom here.
So we'll show that tomorrow during the live stream. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. All right, so so just wrapping up real quick. If anyone has any more questions for Mark right now, put them in the feed so we can get to them before we end the stream. And if you're watching this after we are live, go ahead and drop your comments and questions in there. We'll monitor the video in the archives afterwards. So, Mark, just to kind of close us out and give people a little bit more time to put their questions in if they haven't, we talked a little bit about where we're going, but as far as you've been in the industry for a long time, what kind of advice would you give other shops that maybe are around your size or maybe even a bit smaller, starting out maybe in the last 10 years or so? What advice would you just tell folks in the industry?
Well, right now for me, I'm trying to work on getting some more efficiency, right? So my goals for the future here are more equipment and less people.
Okay.
Even though I like the people, that's the challenging part, right? They're sick or whatever happens or whatever the government is making us do nowadays. It makes it a little challenging. So trying to streamline the process and, get some more equipment to make it easier.
Right. So actually investing in more of technology and the system. Yeah, so some of the biggest problem, I'm not a computer guy. Sure.
I'm just right out of that age bracket of being the guys that know how to do that really well. So it's always been a little bit tougher. And I actually started in the technology portion later than most just because I wanted to make sure that when we did go into it, the team I had in place would make it work right away. I've heard too many stories of you buying this machine and then it's 3 to 4 months to get it by the time somebody really captures the process.
We've heard a couple of those stories too.
Yeah, when I first got my very first Holzer router in there, from day one I had it operating because I had the right guys in place already.
Right, okay, yeah.
So I had hired people and trained them on some they already knew CNC operations and programming at the machine, but had no inside office programming. Right. So I brought them in and trained them all on that prior to getting the machine. So once it came, we meshed it and we started operating right away.
Wow.
So your advice might be to a smaller shop or somebody that's just getting started to have a plan, right?
To get your plan in place.
And I think it's a simple statement, but it makes a lot of sense, especially in our industry, because we do go through a lot of shops in our industry where companies have gotten large. I've seen shops as big as 300,000-400,000 square feet that have gotten that big because their volume has grown over the years, over 50 or 60 years. But the way that they've had to tackle it is because they didn't think about a system to begin with, so they've just added lots of individual machines.
Oh yeah,
and which has added lots of people for each one of those machines, and then it's created some chaos in their flow. You've got all these machines, machine, and then sometimes they're taking finished parts here and taking them back over here before we started here to put stuff together, and then it has to go back there to. There's just some chaos that happens in these big shops.
How many times you walk through a cabinet shop and you're over near assembly and there's some random table saw just sitting in the middle of the floor?
Yeah, well, it used to be like that even in my shop going into that recession, right? So,
really? Yeah.
So I physically was in the shop for every day for hours and for the few months as that was going in, it's figuring out this got to go. This table's got to go. This is in the way. This is right here. Because I was actually back in the shop doing that. And like you were saying, Andy, with this machine situation of people buying, that I believe is a financial situation, right? As you're coming along, you have enough money to get this next machine to make your life better, right? So you're thinking this is the next best thing.
That's so true.
In a perfect world, right? If I got a friend, up north, a big residential cabinet door manufacturer, and Ed's done himself really well. You can set up a line properly if you have the money, right? And that's what he does now in some of his stuff. He built a big drawer box production line, right? So he bought all the best of everything, equipment-wise, to make a perfect streamlined process. But you got to have the money, the means.
And so I think today you can have a plan and you can see where you want to go, and then we can take steps to get there. But maybe 30 years ago, the problem was maybe on the manufacturer of machinery side is that we weren't looking at it as solutions. We were looking at it as machines. And so you had people that are out there just saying, you need this machine that's going to solve your problems. Where now we want to look at, we do look at the entire manufacturing challenge,
process, right.
and we want to put a process in that's going to make you more efficient. And now, if we know that today, we can take the next 10 years to get you to this primo process, right? But we can go ahead and put steps in place so we won't be so chaotic later, 10 years down the road.
Yeah, exactly like you're saying. It was a machine, right?
Yeah.
I need a table saw.
Yeah.
Now I need a nail gun. Now
Right.
I need a drill doweling machine.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh,
And
going
of course,
back-
the guy that came to talk to you about the table saw said, "This is going to change your
This
life.
is everything.
This is going to solve
Right.
your problem. You just need to buy this table saw."
Well,
Well,
again-
I still actually have my first table saw, and it's in the shop working.
do you really?
Yeah.
So a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, we were over at Cutter Woodworking doing the exact same thing that we're doing here, and Jerry Cutter was having the stream tore through his shop, and I mean they had some of the same machines that they started off with that were decades old and running and just fine, and hey, take good care of them, and they keep performing for you.
Yeah, that's what you got to do.
But going back to that, that example where, like, you're walking through a shop and you just see like a random machine sitting here or there, and so many times we can't elevate up enough to see the whole process, right? We just say there's a bottleneck right there. So what do we have to put right there to fix that bottleneck? And really, what the issue is 3 steps back.
Right.
This is actually causing that. But it's great. It's refreshing to hear real focus into streamlining and efficiency. That's something that we care a lot about, especially working with shops to put together full systems.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. Well, listen, everyone, thank you. Let's see if there's any
don't think there
last
are any more.
questions. No.
A lot of comments today, though.
Yeah, a lot of people watching, and as there should be, so that's great. Listen, if you guys have any questions or comments, you're watching this in the archives, just put them in the feed. We'll get to them eventually, I promise. And for those of you watching live, stay with us, all right? So we'll be back live in about an hour or so.
If you're following us on Facebook or on YouTube, you should get a notification when we're about to go live. So if you haven't yet, like us on Facebook, follow us on Facebook, follow us on YouTube. You'll get notifications, and you'll know, because we are going to attempt to start around 7:30 here, which is 10:30 Eastern, but you never know.
But you never know with live streaming. Yeah. Things happen. But yeah, we're going to head down the street, like quite literally down the street, over to Mark's shop and give everyone the tour down there. We're very excited about it. And so we'll see you then.